Next on First at 4, a Whitley County woman is now charged in connection with the death of her daughter. And there are shortages of some medications across the country. What to expect if you're about to buy some medicine.
Plus, plenty of sunshine on the way this week. An appropriate kickoff to festival season. Details, though, on when some showers could sneak back in coming up as First at 4 continues.
Mountain News First at 4 continues.
A Southern Kentucky mother is now facing charges in connection to the death of her daughter. Amora Smallwood died earlier this year in Whitley County. Police initially charged the mother's boyfriend, Jordan Taylor. The prosecutor says the mother is to blame as well. The Whitley County grand jury met earlier this month, and today the indictments they agreed to return were read in open court. Jordan Taylor, who was arrested after the 3-year-old died at the Corbin Hospital, was indicted on murder, sodomy, and strangulation charges. But right after that indictment was read, another was read for the mother, who was sitting on the front row in the courtroom. A deputy sheriff took 20-year-old Alexandra Ward out of the courtroom and in handcuffs and took her to the sheriff's office for processing. She is facing complicity to commit murder and strangulation charges.
In Kentucky, you have an affirmative legal duty as a parent to protect your children and keep them from harm. In addition to being a moral duty, it's a legal obligation. And parents that fail to protect their children from suffering consequences like this are liable for the crime as if they committed it themselves.
Kentucky State Police are still investigating the case with assistance from the Whitley County Sheriff's Office. We'll have much more on this tonight at 6. Tomorrow is the last day to file your taxes. EKU Assistant Accounting Professor Laura Barthel says if you still need to file, there are a few things you may need to remember and have on hand to make the process easier.
It's really important to remember to have all your documentation with you, and when that means your W-2, your any investment reports, or anything that shows that you've had taxes withheld. Those are really important because you want to let them know that you've already paid that tax in.
Barthel says you also need to provide personal information such as your Social Security number and date of birth. WYMT's Olivia Calfee will have more on the tax deadline later this evening. Throughout the past year, there have been a nationwide shortage on certain medications, and although things have improved some, local pharmacies are still seeing shortages in certain brands or types of medication. Those with Pharmacy Care Center in Hazard say they've recently seen shortages in antibiotics, blood pressure medications, and even some pain medications.
But right now, antibiotics are pretty well in stock. It's kind of other medications that have been going in and out, but we're keeping up with it. It's really a nationwide thing. It's not just a Pharmacy Care Eastern Kentucky thing. It's all pharmacies nationwide have experienced this in the last couple of years.
Wes Huff with Pharmacy Care Center says if someone is in need of a medication, it is best to call ahead to see if the pharmacy has it. If they are out of a specific medication, they can usually give you something else or help you find it elsewhere. Governor Beshear has ordered flags at all state buildings be lowered to half-staff tomorrow. It's to honor 2 of the Fort Campbell soldiers who died in a training exercise on March 29th in Trigg County. Army Corporal Emily Bolanos of Austin, Texas, and Staff Sergeant Taylor Mitchell of Mountain Brook, Alabama were on board the 2 HH-60 Black Hawk helicopters when they crashed during a routine training mission. They were part of the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell.
Sunny afternoon, but breezy out there. Plenty of sunshine, though. Kind of offsetting that, you kind of see if you look closely, our Buffalo Mountain camera kind of moving in the wind. Yeah, that's something we've been dealing with today. Temperatures in the 60s, plenty of sunshine, winds gusting still, upper 20s, low 30-mile-per-hour range. Even plenty of us kind of along Highway 80, all gusting to about 35 miles per hour right now. Higher gusts across the Bluegrass. Temperatures have stayed much cooler than they should be this time of year. We should be about 70, and we've been at best in the mid-60s across the southern part of the region. Still warmer than it is up across parts of the Buckeye State where they're having trouble getting out of the 50s and 40s this afternoon. Satellite and radar shows that's where the clouds have been, well off to our north. They've moved on out of here, and that's given us a pretty nice evening. So your forecast first as we make it through the next 12 hours. Temperatures dropping quick into the 40s overnight. I don't think widespread frost, but I can't rule out some patchy frost, especially the closer you are to the bluegrass. Steve, I'll have the details on how long the sunshine sticks around and when we could start keeping an eye on a few showers trying to sneak in a few minutes.
All right, Evan, thank you. The price of a gallon of gas has jumped 21 cents from just a month ago. That's what national analysts are reporting. AAA says the national price of a gallon of gas is $3.67 a gallon. Here in eastern and southern Kentucky, it's a little lower. Prices range from $3.27 to $3.39 in Hazard. In London, gas is right around $3.30 at several gas stations. In Pikeville, it's about 10 cents higher, roughly around $3.40 a gallon. Just in time for National Park Week, finding your way around the parks across Kentucky and the Central Appalachians is easier than ever. That's because Google Maps is rolling out new features to help. You'll be able to access trail routes and walking and cycling directions. The updated app will also let you download a park map that you can use even without internet access. If you're interested in visiting one, entrance fees to all national parks will be waived on Saturday, the first day of National Park Week. There are 6 national parks in Kentucky, and the newest national park is not too far away, New River Gorge National Park and Reserve, just north of Beckley, West Virginia. People in our nation's capital got together to celebrate Emancipation Day over the weekend. It marks the 161st anniversary of when enslaved people in Washington, D.C. were finally freed. John Henry has that story.
D.C. celebrated Emancipation Day all throughout the afternoon. It marks the 161st anniversary of when enslaved people here in the district were finally freed. And people told me the reason to celebrate that anniversary was as strong as ever. They don't just hold parades down Pennsylvania Avenue for any old reason. It has to be for something big. Well, this occasion was just that, big.
Say DC! Say DC!
Yep, that's world-renowned rapper Rakim performing at Freedom Plaza to celebrate Emancipation Day, an event commemorating April 16, 1862, when more than 3,000 enslaved people in D.C. were finally freed from bondage.
We honor them, particularly because they're so nameless and faceless, but we know they were here.
D.C. resident Marcus Chavis said it's a moment in time D.C. residents should remember each and every year.
It's important to know the history of where we have come from and how far we've come as a black race and as a community.
This year, a severe thunderstorm did delay part of the celebration, but it certainly wasn't enough to stop the show entirely. Mayor Muriel Bowser walked the parade route. And WUSA 9's own Leslie Foster and Lorenzo Hall fired up this crowd of thousands.
Good to see y'all.
And we are thrilled to be out here.
But for some people, the entire event reminded them of the need for equality in the present day. Multiple people said it all proved to be further evidence as to why D.C. should be a state.
We needed to be equal. We needed to be fair. To make sure all 700,000 residents of this city have a voice and a vote in Congress.
From Freedom Plaza, John Henry, WUSA 9.
Well, get ready for changes to some of your favorite burgers at McDonald's. The restaurant chain says it is upgrading its signature burgers. The changes include softer buns and onions added right from the grill. People can already try out the new burgers in some big U.S. cities like Los Angeles, Seattle, Phoenix, and Las Vegas. McDonald's says the new menu will be available across the country by early next year. In North Carolina, there's a group of ladies in Lenoir County who are using their quilting talents to give back to the community. Abigail Venez has more on that.
In the early 90s at Lenoir Community College, a group of quilters created what is now a quilting society.
They came together and organized a guild, and it was named News Quilters Guild Incorporated, so it is a corporation, a nonprofit.
The group exists to comfort those most in need with a handmade warm embrace, a quilt.
We gave 40 quilts to the police department, and we let them know these are to go in the police cars and use as you deem fit. We're hoping that if they have to take a child out of a domestic situation, that this quilt will be one that this child can wrap up in, and it's a hug from all of us. We're a bunch of grandmas for the most part.
Hours of labor and loads of patience. I asked the Guild where they find their inspiration.
I have 5 or 6 quilts that my grandmother made. And I have one that is, I'm the 5th generation to get it handed down to. So I've always wanted to do this, so I retired and now I can.
Layer cake lemonade, and the material was given to me by my son and his family for my birthday.
My friend gave me this fabric, and so I made it into a baby quilt, and I'm busy binding it now.
And when motivation runs low, the quilters turn to each other for guidance. And how did you think of this idea?
I saw one she made.
We love quilting. We love fabric. We love being with each other.
The News Quilters Guild is proving that some hugs can last forever. Reporting in Kinston, Abigail Velez, 9 on your side.
Broadway composer Andrew Lloyd Webber dedicated the final Broadway performance of Phantom of the Opera to his late son, Nick, on Sunday. Webber's eldest son, Nicholas, died following a battle with gastric cancer on March 25th. After a record-breaking 35-year run on Broadway, the show officially closed. A teary-eyed cast, alongside original cast members, including Sarah Brightman, took their final bows in front of a packed house. On the red carpet, Brightman said she is convinced the show will be back.
And so I think that people will miss it so much that it will reopen at some point. That's my instinct about it.
In February, producers announced the show would close due to a sharp drop in ticket sales even after New York theaters reopened following the pandemic lockdown. The New York show has been seen by more than 20 million people and has grossed $1.4 billion during the course of 35 years. Coming up on First at 4, a former Fed chair shares a prediction about consumer credit.
And cool today, but I'm tracking some nicer weather on the way once we get this low pressure on out of here. The details coming up.